Good morning, ka-salesmen. Rise and shine. Rise and shine. Our general topic for today will be about sales training and sales interventions. Okay, the question says, does your company provide regular sales training interventions to their sales force? Thank you very much for this question. I am already a retired guy and hindi na ako pumapasok kung anumang kumpanya. But I used to work in many companies before. So, allow me to answer your question about sales training and sales interventions. You know, a few companies do it. Sa pharmaceuticals, it is done as a matter of practice. Even with some big FMCGs or consumer companies, yung malalaki, lalo na yung Procter, Unilever, probably siguro sa San Miguel, yes, they do that because they have a fully dedicated sales training department. But sa construction and hardware business, I don't think it's a common practice. I've been with three companies who deals in construction as well as hardware items. Wala talaga silang formal na training department or training outfit to handle the training needs of their sales force. In fact, most companies in this category, they prefer experienced sales persons coming from other industries because they wanted to save on training costs as well as time. Yun na lang, when you offer a training window, you may be able to hire the potential ones, but you can also entertain people that you don't know really a lot about. And this includes those that were, sabihin natin mga misfits, natanggal ng ibang kumpanya, or yung mga nag-kick out. May kasabihan nga, when you open your windows to let the good air coming in, sometimes mosquitoes and flies come in also. Ganoon yun. You cannot perfect the hiring process. Mahirap sometimes you have to rely on your gut to do that. Because there are those na magaling naman talaga. And you have to spot them. But there are those who can mask themselves as good na magaling. And you may be lulled into believing that they are good and you hire them only to find out that they are not. Alam mo, sa industry ito, most salesmen are left to their own devices. They either sink or swim. You learn as you go, contribute, or you get fired, or perform well, or you didn't get rewards on awards. Worse is when you go through the whole 9 yards of hiring a very potential person only to find out that he's leaving you in a month or less. Maswerte ka if you have a trained and legit manager who will nurture and teach each salesman patiently until they acquire and learn new habits and skills. You know, when a new hire is assigned to a job, especially to a vacated area, first is given a master list of accounts. Very standard yan. Then, he will go through a perfunctory or a half day or 1 day orientation on product and sales. And afterwards, ipoprocess na ang kanyang travel funds, company car kung meron mang coaching nakahanda para sa kanya, and then he's sent to his territory to work. Okay lang sana kung datihan na yung ahente, may laban. But what if the new hiree is a greenhorn or came from a different industry, like galing siyang FMCG, or galing sa pharma, or nagtatrabaho sa office, or real estate? If that will happen, he will have to cut his teeth and learn the trade in weeks, months, or years to learn the nuances of his new job and be a good one at it. But with proper and continuous training and reorientation and on-the-job coaching and training, you can cut down the downtime by almost 80%, and you will have a performing salesman in a very short time kung merong training program naka-atang para sa kanya. So kailangan talaga in training. Huwag mong pabayaan yung ahente, baguhan man siya o datihan ng ahente, unseasoned or experienced salesman, to go in the field by himself. There should be a good training program and orientation for him. You know, I've been working in this branch of business for 29 years. Of the 43 years that I was in sales. Alam mo, dito sa construction and hardware business, formal training is considered an afterthought. It is not really a deliberate program of management. I've seen that. Internally generated sales training program, fully staffed training group, a well-equipped sales trainer. I'm sorry, gentlemen, none of the above. You know, a typical job orientation or onboarding for a new hiree in the eyes of HR would include the following. First, he is oriented on the policies and procedures. It's the do's and don'ts of the company, including the organizational chart of the company. Then, he's shown the reporting responsibilities that he will have to make sa kanyang department. And then, he will be oriented with his assigned product. But yun nga lang, perfunctory yun. Hindi mo talaga yung in-depth training from A to Z. Kung sa Tagalog pa, hapyaw lang. Para malaman lang niya kung anong produkto ang bit-bit niya. Bahala na siya kung anong pag-aaralan niya after. And then afterwards, he's turned over to the division or the department where he will be assigned para ito na over ang master list, travel funds, and then ito na over din ang kanyang teritoryo. Where does sales training fits in? Saan ba siya pwede? Gentlemen, ka-salesmen, this should be the most serious part. To teach and equip new or experienced salesmen, to make him learn and relearn his craft before being sent to the field to fight. It is also a venue for the hiree to disabuse his mind of previous learned habits of his previous companies that are not consonant to what the new management wants him to do. Kailangan yun. Doon papasok ang training program. Okay. So, assume natin ngayon, nakumpisa ka na sa trabaho, pinadala ka na sa teritoryo mo, naka-isa kalahati, 2 buwan ka na. May mga schedules ka na kung sinong pupuntahan mo, o anong gawin mo, napapansin mo. Napakarami pala. Pero kailangan gawin mo. Trabaho mo yan eh. Utos yan eh. You had to do that. Now, para ma-organize mo, hindi mo makalimutan, ginawa mo ang listahan mo sa trabaho. Ito ngayon. Itong papadala ko sa inyo, sample list of to-do activities in a week. Ha? Tignan mo, spend time to read this, and then I'll get back to you after a few minutes para malalaman natin kung saan ka pwedeng lumugar. Anyway, ipopost ko yan sa screen. Tingnan mo yan, and then let's do that exercise. I've shown you a lot. I think that's more than... Ilan yan? Oh, I think it's more than 20, roughly mga 25 points. Naka-schedule mong gawain. Hindi pa kasama dyan yung itatawag sa'yo ng bisor mo, o ng boss mo, o ng executive mo, o ng manager mo. Okay. Napansin mo, napakarami pala. But you have to do that. Now, it begs you to ask, anong unahin ko? Which task to prioritize? Alam mo, one tip lang. Your ability to select which task can give you the biggest chances for success, get on with it, and get it done quickly and thoroughly, will probably have a greater impact on your success as a salesperson than any other skill that you may have. The fact on the ground tells you that as you go with your selected task for the day and for the week and finish some of them, habang ginagawa mo, new activities that you did not schedule would come and create a disruption to your current priorities. Yung bang ginagawa mo din sa nilin, mayroong darating na iba naman, malaking disruption yun. Minsan, yung ibang sabihin lang, napaka-toxic naman ng inuutis ko. Akin, hindi ko pa nga natapos yung mga gawain ko. Mayroon na namang darating na bago. But you must be able to select from a basket of tasks, and which of them should you prioritize? And what are those that need to be prioritized? Those that will give you a bigger contribution to your chance for success. Otherwise, if you will not prioritize, you will often procrastinate and inadvertently, instead of eating the ugliest frogs, you instead eat the minnows, the tadpoles, and the smaller frogs in the pond, because they will have a significant contribution to your chances for success. Always take note of that. Okay, now pupunta tayo ngayon sa main event ng ating usapan sa araw na ito. It's about eating your frog. Have you heard about it? Some of you may have heard about it, and I will discuss this to you today. Not all, but as we go on, yes, mahabang usapan ito. Okay, it's about eating your frog, mga ka-salesmen. What is a frog? Sa usapan natin ito, a frog is a very important activity or task for the day, the week, or month that you are most likely to procrastinate if you do not do something about it. Ha? Tandaan mo ha, it's a very important activity that you have a most likelihood of procrastinating kung hindi mo gagawin yun kaagad. Yung task na yun or that task is probably the most challenging or the most difficult, but its impact to your success as a salesperson, you can't take it for granted. Deal breaker yan. For the day, for the week, and for the month. Okay. If the first thing that you do every morning is eat a live frog, you can go through the day feeling satisfied that it is the worst thing that can happen to you. All others na mangyayari, napakadali nang gawin. Pag naumpisahan mo nang gawin at natapos mo ang pinakamahirap na gagawin mo sa araw na yan. You follow me? Okay. Ito pa. Sige. There are two rules in eating a frog. Sama pakinggan, no? Frog eating. Anyway, i-discuss ko muna sa iyo yung rule number 1. Baka mabilaukan kayo, marami. Mahaba yan eh. Okay. The first rule in frog eating is 1. If you are to eat 2 or 3 frogs every single day, kada araw, tandaan mo yung frog is the most difficult task or most challenging task na kailangan gagawin mo. Now, if you have to eat 2 or 3 frogs a day, start eating the ugliest and the biggest frog first. Yung pinamalaki, yun ang unahin mo. This means, if you are presented with 2 or more very important activities for the day, start with the biggest, the hardest, and the more difficult first. Train or discipline yourself to begin immediately and to persist until it is done completely before you begin doing the next task. Otherwise, you will be tempted to delay it. Remind yourself that what you decide to do today should be done first, and the others, less important thing or things can be done later. Kuha mo na. Rule number 1 in frog eating, eat the ugliest frog first. Rule number 2, abangan sa susunod na kabanata, mga ka-salesmen. But again, before we even discuss rule number 1 and rule number 2, i-search nyo nga dun sa Google, procrastination, para magintindihan tayo sa next vlog ko. Okay? So gentlemen, I'll park my pen now. And, happy Father's Day to all. Rise and shine, salesmen. Rise and shine. Ayos. Eating your frog, ha? Eat your frog. Eat your frog.